Citizen me, all the layers to your citizenship. Have you ever wondered what a citizen is? Let's take a guess. A citizen is a person who does good deeds. B, someone involved in politics. C, a member of a community with rights and responsibilities. D, an adult. If you answered C, a member of the community with rights and responsibilities, you are correct. So does that mean that I'm a citizen of a city, of a state? Am I a citizen of my school? We're citizens of something, right? Yes. A community is a group of people that share an environment. Every day you are part of several different layers of a community. That means you have many different levels of citizenship. Let's create a four-sided citizenship pyramid with the levels of citizenship. At the top of our pyramid is home. The people we live with make up the smallest community we belong to, right? People I live with here. The second level is school. Our school or workplace is a community too. These are the people we interact with outside of our homes every day. Record the name of your school here. The third level is city. You are a citizen of the city in which you live. Record the name of your city or the city or town closest to you here. Next, we have state. Our country is made up of 50 states and a district too. You are a citizen of the state where you live. Write the name of your state here. Last, we have nation. You are also a citizen of your country. Write down the name of the nation in which you live here. Does your side one look like this? Maybe you're wondering why you should care. Where do these rights and responsibilities come from? Let's find out. Let's next make side 2 of our citizenship pyramid. On this side, we will be examining the origin of rights and responsibilities. Where do these rights and responsibilities come from? Let's find out. If being a citizen means having rights and responsibilities, where do they come from? Let's take a guess. We get our rights and responsibilities as citizens from A, different places depending on the level of citizenship. B, one member of the community who decides for us. C, politicians. D, the president. If you answered A, different places depending on the level of citizenship, you are correct. In the bottommost portion of our triangle, we placed our nation. In the United States, we are guaranteed a list of rights in our Constitution. Let's place the U.S. Constitution at the bottom of our triangle on side 2. The section above this has our state written in it. Each state has its own constitution that guarantees rights to the state's citizens. Let's place state constitution in this place. In the section above state, we have our city listed. Cities usually have a city charter. This document tells how the city will run. It usually contains some rights and responsibilities of city citizens. Let's place city charter in this space. Next, we have our school listed. Most schools have a school handbook that lists a student's rights and responsibilities. It's mostly responsibilities, but more about that later. Let's place school handbook in this space. Last but not least, we have home at the top of our pyramid. At home, the adults in charge decide what your rights and responsibilities will be. Maybe these will get written down, but usually not. Let's place adults in charge in this area. Does your side 2 look like this? Good job. Let's next make side 3 of our citizenship pyramid. Since we know where our rights and responsibilities come from, we'll be figuring out what are rights. Rights are A, things adults get to do, B, privileges the president has, C, electric bulbs that let you read in the dark, D, a privilege or a claim to something. If you answered D, a privilege or a claim to something, you're correct. So what kinds of rights do citizens have at each level? You would need a pyramid the size of the ones in Egypt to list all the rights citizens have at each level. Let's just list a few examples. Our nation and the United States Constitution guarantees really big rights like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the freedom to assemble in groups. Let's add freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the freedom to assemble in groups at the bottom of our pyramid. Next, we have state constitutions. State constitutions usually repeat many of the rights listed in the U.S. Constitution, but often they add more. For example, your state constitution might guarantee the right to a free education or the right for kids under 14 not to work. Let's add right to free education, right of children not to work in this section. Think about this. Why don't you think the U.S. Constitution gives the right to education? Should it? Our next spot was for our city and the city charter. This gives you the right to services your city provides, like sidewalks or parks. Let's add right to use sidewalks and parks in this section. Think of this. Would it be a problem if the U.S. Constitution talked about sidewalks? Next, we have our school and our school handbook. But wait, hey, I don't see any rights in my school handbook. All I see is stuff kids aren't supposed to do. Lucky for you, I can answer that one. Sometimes rights are the flip side of responsibilities. So if the handbook says you can't do something, it's silently giving you the right to do something else. Your handbook might say, no wallets with chains, but you do have the right to bring a regular wallet. So school handbooks are usually the opposite of the U.S. Constitution because they list responsibilities instead of rights. Try out some examples of how responsibilities can silently tell you what your rights are. Do not throw food in the lunchroom is silently saying you have the right to eat in the lunchroom. Students must be seated during athletic activities is silently saying you have the right to attend athletic activities. No t-shirt with inappropriate slogans is silently saying you have the right to wear appropriate t-shirts to school. Let's add attend sports, eat in the lunchroom. Stop and think about the rights that you have at your school. Last, we have home and the adults in charge. The adults in charge at home give you the rights that only apply at home. For example, you probably have the right to eat the food they buy, and you might have the right to watch TV and play video games. Let's add TV, video games, eat food to this section. Remember, these are all just examples. Does your side 3 look like this? Finally, we have side 4 of our pyramid, responsibilities. Yikes, what does this mean? Let's take a guess. Responsibilities are A, things only adults have to do. B, duties we have to other people, to the government, or to the law. C, unpleasant activities adults force kids to do. D, chores you do outside. If you answered B, duties we have to other people, to the government, or to the law, you are correct. First, we will look at our home area at the top of our pyramid. For example, you might have to make your bed, walk the dog, or wash the dishes. Think about the responsibilities that you have at home and record them here. Next, we have school. You may be thinking, well, I don't have any trouble figuring out what my responsibilities at school are. They're all listed right in the school handbook. At school, you're responsible to follow the following rules. These rules might be no alcohol, no drugs, no smoking, and no weapons on school grounds. Remember, we already learned that school rules usually tell you what not to do. So we can put in this area, behave in class, and do not bring banned items into school. City charters often contain rules, kind of like a school handbook. Laws that apply only within a city are called ordinances. If a city ordinance tells you not to do something, then you know you have a responsibility not to do that thing. Some ordinances might state that no person may have a dog that barks or howls. Even if the ordinance just says what the punishment is, you can still figure out that you have a responsibility not to do that thing. For instance, you may see a sign that there is a $50 fine for flying a kite in the park. Remember, these are all just examples. What responsibilities do you have in your town? Let's put them in the section for city. Up next, we have the state section, which is the state constitution. Paying taxes is one of the biggest responsibilities you'll find in a state constitution. For example, your state might have taxes on property you own, on income you earn, and even on the stuff you buy at a store. Think about this. What do you think the state uses your taxes for? Let's place state taxes in this section. Finally, we have the section for nation and the U.S. Constitution. The Constitution does not have a list of responsibilities, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any. Read what the Constitution says about treason. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. From this, you can figure out that citizens of the United States have a responsibility not to commit what? Treason. Treason can be two things. Number one, making war against the United States, and number two, giving aid and comfort to enemies of the United States. But that's not all. The Constitution guarantees the right to vote. The rights of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied. But what would happen if voting day came and nobody voted? Voting is a responsibility we have because our society can't function without it. So let's add vote and do not commit treason to this section. Does your responsibility side look something like this? Nice job. Now work building your citizenship pyramid. What next? Take the time to go back and review the lesson on your own. After your review, complete the lesson review for the lesson and submit for grading. Remember, your submission should follow all the rules for standard written English.